Hey everybody, it is Yishan here. Today I wanted to bring to you guys an Ancient Warrior Tri-Brigade deck that I've been working on. I'm going to take you through the deck list, do a couple of test hands. I think test hands are a little more valuable because Tri-Brigade's not too much of a combo deck, but it is a lot about playing around certain hand traps depending on the hand you have. So I'll do a couple of test hands, explain my theory behind the deck. Hope you guys enjoy. Look at the description below for timestamps. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the TCG player links and the Your Playmate links. Without further ado, let's get into this. So, Ancient Warrior Tri-Brigade. This is something I've been trying out since the Verte Anaconda banning. And basically, it runs there's a couple of different engines you can run, right, when you play Tri-Brigade. You can run Rescue Cat. You could go Pure. Pure is probably not that great. You need a little bit more than Pure, just there's not enough monsters. And then there's the bird version with the turquoise warbler, bird call, cobalt sparrow. I've seen Scareclaw. There's honestly there's even Zodiac, but the main three best options I think right now are bird, rescue cat, or this ancient warrior version that I'm about to show you. And I'm gonna try to go over why I think it's a little bit better. So you run 3 Ancient Warrior Sunmu. Basically, this guy's effect is he can pitch a card from hand or field to the grave to add this YUGIOH to the hand. And the YUGIOH effect, when it's added to the hand by Ancient Warrior, can special summon itself. This guy has another effect, basically, which helps it really, really good going second, where if an Ancient Warrior another Ancient Warrior's effect is activated, it can bounce a monster your opponent controls to the hand. So that makes it really, really good going second. So what are the benefits of playing the Ancient Warriors? Well, the first thing is that they're searchable by Tenki. That's a huge deal that only maybe engines like Zodiac can claim. Being able to be searched by Tenki, because a lot of these weird hands in this deck are when you have like Fractal Tenki, or even like 2 Fractals and a Tenki, and so it allows you to get something to help your combos with Tenki. So I really, really like that. Tenki went to 2 on the last ban list, so I like that. Its drawbacks used to be that it didn't make Verte as well as the birds. Nothing made Verte as well as the bird Tri-Brigade deck, but Verte's banned, so that doesn't really matter as much anymore. This roughly does the similar thing, because if your opponent had Imperm, they could have Impermed Farrajet when you went like Bird or Warbler Kit, right? The Bird is the best when you draw Bird Call with Cobalt Sparrow, like that, or Cobalt Sparrow, or Sapphire, or you don't get what I'm saying. You draw the 2 birds together. That deck is so strong because it like demands an answer. It's just too strong. Like you're too strong in that front. And then Cat is the best when your opponent has no hand traps. Okay, so that is really, really like, if your opponent has no hand traps, but it's not really, really good going second, it's so rarely resolved, but if it does resolve, you win the game. I really like Ancient Warriors. So the Ancient Warriors drawback is if you only open Sunmu and no Tri-Brigades, you would have preferred to have Cat going first. Okay, so that is one instance where I think Rescue Cat is better. The other instance is if you open Sunmu and the Brick, if you open YUGIOH as well. If you open the Brick just by itself, it's a Tri-Beast discard, not the end of the world. But if you open both of these, you cannot use YUGIOH, and I don't really want to play more Bricks. So I just hope I don't open them both. But that is a drawback of this, where if you open both of these, you're in a bit of a pickle. But in every other situation, with the Tenki flexibility, I find that the Ancient Warriors just play it into hand traps better, and they play better going second. So, that's that. There's, they can make rank 4s for Zeus. They can make double Dragon Lords. They can hard make it. And that actually gives them a search. It gives them rank 4 capabilities, and it works with some other techs in my deck. And it's grabbable off Tenki, what I really like. So that is that. I'll show you how it works in the combos, but I just want to go over that. Because I think it was really, really interesting to talk about the different kinds of Tri-Brigade decks that you could see in the benefits and drawbacks. So plays around hand traps pretty good and going second, but it's not as game breaking as Cat, but still pretty game breaking if it resolves. So there's that. Okay, we've got 3 Kit, 3 Nerval, and 3 Fractal. I believe you have to max out on all of these. Fractal's a starter. Opening Nerval or Kit with an Ancient Warrior or a Tenki is literally, it's just so strong. Like, it's really, really hard to hand trap. So, yeah, there's that. So that's that, and then 2 Karis. You could maybe run 3. I really like having like Karis plus an Ancient Warrior is also really good. But usually you just like go Ancient Warrior, pitch a Nerval or a Kit to grab a Karis to make it really hard to stop your combo. A lot of different options. And then I play the Mercourier package, which I believe in. So that's 1 Mercourier, 1 Albion, 1 Branded Sword. So basically, when Mercourier is banished, you can add Albion. Albion can send Branded Sword. Branded Sword can add back the Mercourier. So you get a draw and an add back. So if you banish Mercourier, it's basically a +2. There are no fusion in this deck, so you're not going to be discarding Mercourier as an extra discard. But I don't understand why you would not play Mercourier in your Tri-Brigade deck. I've seen some people go with the Fabled Cerebral or whatever, and that's pretty good if you can discard it off Karis. But this card is so broken because it gives you like 2 free cards, which basically makes your Farragut draw and your Revolt add free. It makes them completely free, and you can just sculpt your hand. Sometimes I'm drawing 2 to 4 cards a turn from this engine, and it's just absolutely insane if you can banish Mercourier. The only break is Branded Sword, because if you draw Albion, you can just send Branded Sword, and Mercourier is a Tri-Beast, so it's not even bad to open at all. So that is really mainly this package. It's just too much pluses, and like your opponent's always gonna break like Appaloosa, Revolt. They're gonna break it a little bit, right? But if you can draw into hand traps, which this will allow you to do, or draw into something good, you'll have a lot of follow-up for next turn, and I really think the benefits outweigh the costs. So if you're not playing Mercourier yet, definitely try it out, and I think once you try it out, you're going to be addicted, because banishing it just feels so good. And you can always set it out going second if you need space in your deck. So that's that. I'm a big believer in Mercourier, and I don't even care that you can't use the effect to negate. It's just so broken. 3 Ash, 3 Nibiru, 3 Valor, and 3 Imperm. These are my hand traps. I run 12 in a 40 card deck. The reason I'm playing Nibiru over DD Crow, I started out with DD Crow, but now I'm playing Nibiru because it's so hard to beat those punk synchro decks or brave synchro decks going second without Nibiru. Like you just need it plus another hand trap most of the time. Honestly, that's what you need most of the time, and it's kind of sad that it has to be that way, but that is it is what it is. It is what it is. Like you kind of have to. This really suffers though. So like if you're playing against a lot of Despia, Nibiru is pretty terrible in that matchup. It's like the easiest side out, but I really wanted to play Crow, but honestly I never really needed it. I've never really wanted to search it that much. Going first, it's always fine. Like it's always okay. Like there's always something else to search. And Nibiru has been super good against like Sword Soul, which is really common, and those punk synchro decks, which are like they're just everywhere. Honestly, I just feel like they're more represented, and so I went Nibiru over DD Crow. Even though DD Crow has more synergy, it just feels impossible to win against those punk synchro decks without Nibiru in your deck. Okay, so that's it for the sort of monsters. So spells, I am running 2 of what a lot of people would consider a noob Tri-Brigade card. I try not to evaluate cards based on how other people see them. Airborne Assault. So okay, for those of you that are not familiar about this card, I'm going to sort of give you the reasons why I'm running it. It basically is a quick play spell, and it special summons a Tri-Beast from deck. You have to target a Tri-Beast you control, and you have to summon a Tri-Beast with different type but less attack, and its effects negated for the end of the turn. So this is an extender. This is an extender going first or second. And how does this card work? Why am I playing this? Okay, in my opinion, the only engine that you can run this in is the Ancient Warrior engine. The birds are not good because it doesn't work with Warbler. Like you can't summon Nerval because they're all winged beasts. It doesn't work with Cat. Cat is so risky because it doesn't help you play around Ash at all, because your normal Cat, you activate this. Okay, if you get Ash, you're still gonna lose. Like you just have a random Nerval, you have to link it off, and you better pray you have Karis in your hand. So it doesn't really help there. But with the Ancient Warriors, this card has an extreme amount of flexibility. Okay, because if you open these 2 cards, your opponent basically cannot do anything. There is no hand traps that are going to save them, because okay, it depends on what you need. This can get anything. Your three good targets are Kit, Nerval, and or Mercurier, right? So even if you have Nerval and Kit access already, let's say you discard a Nerval off this, you can still summon Mercurier because it is a winged beast, right? So everything good that you want to summon from your deck can be summoned by this card. It works so well with the Ancient Warriors. And so I really, really think if there's a version to play this card, it would be the Ancient Warriors, because basically activating this on the Beast Warrior is the best, because you that's what you need. Basically, that's what you need. There are some niche interactions, like for example, you could try to target like a beast. If you have Fractal and you like make a link 2, you can try to target and summon out the Zuga and Zuga and Fractal can actually make double Dragon Lords, hard link summon, and then you can actually search. But those are some niche materials. Most of the time, it just has such good synergy with the Ancient Warriors, and it's an extender to help play around hand traps. I think just better than Triple Tactics. Triple Tactics is pretty good. I just don't really like cross out in a deck that doesn't play Rite of Aramasure, or is really heavily represented in the meta. So this is my sort of maybe some secret tech, which I really think it works really, really well. It has really, really good synergies with the Ancient Warriors. So that's my opinion on that. I think it's a lot of people consider this card a new trap. I've been pretty satisfied every time I've drawn it. I've been pretty satisfied. It's super, super good going first. Too tanky. Honestly, I wish I could play 3 because it's just better to be able to choose if you want Fractal or the Ancient Warrior. You could even, like, if this ever goes to 3, you could cut the third Ancient Warrior and play 3 tanky. That works. 2 Desires with Verte Band. Unless you're playing Fusion Destiny, I don't see a reason not to run this card. I don't even care that I run Mercurier. I really don't. Like, I will be happy to, if I banish Mercurier, not a big deal. The only bad part is you banish like Mercurier and you draw like the bricks. It's pretty rare that happens. And a lot of times you can actually, use your Albion, put Mercurier on the bottom, draw a card, you draw it Desires, boom, you banish another 10, your Albion's on the bottom, so you can add it back later. Just so good. So good. And then hand trap bait. And then 1 Call By, really, really good offense and defense. 1 Foolish to just help with the engine. Very, very helpful. And then I'm running 2 Revolt because I'm running 2 Desires, just in case I have to Desires. There's a pretty decent chance there's a Revolt left in my deck. It's a pretty easy side out 1 going second. I could see you cutting this to 1 if you want to be greedy. I totally understand that. It's just nice to open this sometimes going first. It makes it much harder for them to like drop a nib on you. It makes your like weak hands can be pretty strong sometimes and gives you follow up. So I've been liking 2 Revolt, but I could see playing 1. But I definitely do like 2, and it's an easy side out to 1 going first. Game 3. So that's it. Main deck, 40 cards. It's clean 40. I think you have to play 40 in Tri-Brigade. There's just sometimes not enough good cards. Okay, side deck. I'm on 3 Alpha. Alpha has been lowering in impressiveness for me. There's a couple of reasons. This card is totally cracked against Rogue. Like, it's just so good against those like mid-range Rogue decks. Salamangreat, it's cracked. This card is cracked. Weak Brave Hands, this card is totally cracked. Seals Pass, this card is totally cracked. But the Dragon decks have not been ending on Seals as much. They've been going Borland Dragon, which this card is okay against, but Borland's pretty, you kind of have to stop Borland from coming out because this card's not that, they're not that good. It's pretty good. It's okay against Borland, but usually it's more than just 1 Borland. They got like Snow and everything. Sword Soul, it's mixed with Sword Soul because they used to go always for the level 10 synchro that draws and banishes and all that stuff, but people have been getting less and less greedy and playing around Nib more, so this is pretty, it really depends. Sometimes super good. I like the Beast synergy, and of course it's actually really, really good to work with Airborne Assault because, it's a high-level beast, so you can get like Nervals or a bunch of different stuff off it. Pankratops, this card's pretty broken going second. But yeah, maybe like you could play like Gammas instead. I don't know. That's definitely a possibility. 1 DD Crow, pretty good. For my back row, run 3 Lightning Storm, 1 Raid, 1 Harpies. You could run Twin. I just like this because it's just easy in this deck, and you need like Blowout. I really want to run Red Reed, but I couldn't find the room. I'm running DD Crow, Wrestler, and Harpies. But yeah, I would like to be able to run Red Reboot somewhere. Maybe I could cut like an Alpha. I'm not sure, but Alpha's pretty good. These are just solid back removal, and then of course against Sword Soul, Lightning Storm can go after the monsters, which is pretty nice. And then for the traps, I run 3D barrier and 3 anti-spell. These cards have just been super, super good for me. With this version, with Mercurier going first, you're drawing like 2 to 4 cards a turn. So you're actually like, I find myself finding these a lot more consistently, and that's super, super nice. And you also have lots of follow-up because you get to put back the Mercurier and the extra draws. So I really, really like that. So yeah, I've been enjoying these floodgates, and against Brave, all these decks running Brave, and it's good against droplets, forces it early. A lot of good stuff there. Yeah, okay, and then D barrier just kind of broken against the meta. Extra deck. One Tiger King, you have to run this because if you only open Ancient Warriors, and they have no hand traps, you want a way to get into the Tri-Brigades. So this can set Tinky from your deck. It can set Tinky from your deck. It can negate some monster effects. And then of course it can go into Zeus. One Tornado Dragon. Honestly, I rarely ever summon this. This might be the Scareclaw Link one when it comes out. The Link one is so useful to banish with. It comes up all the time, so probably just cut this for Link 1 and the 1 Zeus. I summon it sometimes, but pretty rarely, but the extra space is pretty tight. I summon Tiger King the most. Honestly, I don't even summon Zeus that much. You can maybe even cut both of these, but Zeus is just like, it's just an out to stuff, which might come up, so that's that. So it actually does come up. It comes up once in a blue moon, the Zeus. So there's that, and then there's the Almirage, which you kind of need to play sometimes. Double Dragon Lords, which works really well in this deck. If you actually link summon it, you can add an Ancient Warrior monster from deck to hand. A lot of people don't know that effect. It's a little bit of a hidden effect, but yeah, you actually can add. So that does come up sometimes with this deck, because you make the Ancient Warrior link hard make it. Firefighting Drumadal. I really like this card. This card has come up a couple times for me, especially if you ever get into a grind game. One really, really common pattern is you have 2 engrave, but you don't have another material. You don't have something else to summon for Ferrojet, right? So one thing that I actually do a lot is Drumadal, when it destroys a monster by battle, it adds back a banished beast, beast warrior, winged beast. So you add back a Tri-Brigade. So you normal a Tri-Brigade. Let me go look for one. You normal a Tri-Brigade, make Drumadal attack over something, add back. Then you can link these off for Ferrojet, which I run 2 of as well. Ferrojet can summon back the new Tri-Brigade, and you continue with your plays there. And it has some random back row outs, which comes up every once in a while. But yeah, I actually really, really like Drumadal. It has come up quite a couple times in some grind games. But maybe you could play like a Dweller if you don't want to play this. I just like it because you kind of have the space. But yeah. I could also see running a second Bear Brim. I only run right now, but I could see cutting this and running a second Bear Brim. They're honestly both pretty good. So sometimes I want a second Bear Brim, but it pretty rarely comes up. And then I run the 2 Ferrojet. I guess I should mention that I run the 2 Ferrojet. I run the 1 Eagle. It's nice to have 2 Link 3s. Sometimes you have to Revolt 1. This is pretty useful, although with DPE less in the format, you could get greedy and cut this, but there's honestly no reason to at the moment. So a lot of times you can go Doom Eagle, shuffle back, make Charade, continue with your plays, or access code. But yeah, it's Doom Eagle's nice, and I run 2 Charade. You could run 3, but this extra is slightly tight, and then I don't really need more than 2. 2 is pretty nice, but I do use the second one a lot. And then 1 Appaloosa, 1 access code, really, really stable. You're ending on this a lot more now that Verte is banned. And of course, access code comes up a lot for game. So that is the deck. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Let's just go and try some test hands out, shall we? Let me show you sort of how this deck works. So I will see you in just a second. Alright guys, we are back with the test hand portion of the video. I'm going to shuffle this deck up. I probably got to give it a pretty good shuffle since I just did a deck profile with it. But yeah, if you're enjoying the content, consider subscribing. This is mainly, there's some basic combos that you need to know, but they're very similar to other Tri-Brigade combos, especially if you don't get interrupted. I will try to draw some hands where I show off the Ancient Warrior stuff, but in general, I think actually a test hand video is pretty useful because, these are going to be, you're going to show you like, okay, what happens if it's uninterrupted, and what happens, like, what would I normally actually do, and what am I thinking about when I sort of draw all these hands. So I'm going to give it, let's say a couple more, 4 more riffles, and we'll call it a day. So yeah, I think test hands are super, super useful, because, if I'm going blind going first, I can really, really explain all my in-depth thoughts, about what is going on, what is going through my head when I play this deck. So, okay. you know, you get your deck here. We draw our opening hand. Kit, Nerval, Veiler. So this hand is absolutely cracked. I did not plan this. This is all done in one take, as you can see. This hand is totally cracked out of its mind. It is just unbeatable. And one of the reasons why I really, really like Ancient Warrior over Nerval, because if this was Rescue Cat, you lose to Ash, right? You lose to Ash. You lose to Imperm. Unless you just lose. So, but when you open Sunmoo, it's absolutely cracked. So I always try to keep in these two zones. These three zones you use a lot. So try to keep over here. Normal Sunmoo. And what I am thinking about is okay, I probably want to discard Nerval because I want to use Kit to send the Mercourier. So I'm going to activate Sunmoo, discard Nerval. Okay, Nerval. If they Veiler this, I add Karis pitch Kit. And I'm doing really, really well. Kit, Send, Mercourier, you have all those plays, right? So I can sort of go through that line real quick. I'll go through both lines, a quick test hand. So okay, let's go through the line that gets uninterrupted completely, right? So uninterrupted completely, we have we can add Karis, and so this is, let me show you how to play it correctly. So okay, you would resolve your Sunmoo first. And so even if they want to like Ash this Nerval, they actually can't, because when you add Zuga Kong, it's Chainlink 1 Zuga, Chainlink 2 Nerval, right? So if they don't do anything, boom, you can do the Chainlinks like this, and you can go, you know, sort of like that, and you add Karis to your hand, and then, so this chain blocks this. Okay, so if your opponent hasn't hand trapped you here, it's pretty much they don't have a hand trap, and this works exactly like Rescue Cat. You could, you know, link these two off for Ferrojet. You could link these two off for like an even Ancient Warrior is okay. Like, you know, that's a like a, you know, if they don't have any hand traps, you know, you could do that, right? You could even link it off for like Ancient Warrior and search and go crazy with extra cards. There's a lot of things you could do if your opponent has no hand traps. So many things. I'll cover one of them. So let's just look at a cool line. If you think your opponent doesn't have any hand traps, we'll link some in Ancient Warrior. You know, that is pretty cool. Just going to add this card to our hand. So it's basically a free Ancient Warrior. We're going to discard Kit to summon out Karis. And then Kit is going to search us or send us the Mercourier. And we're going to get absolutely insane amount of value here. So send Mercourier. Mercourier, we can activate Karis, banish 4. You see this a lot in Rescue Cat lines. It doesn't really matter what you banish. You banish 4 for a Shreg. Mercourier triggers, adding you the Albion, wherever that guy is. Okay, so I like to search first before I use my Albion effect, because basically I'm 100% getting Fractal here. I'm going to use my Fractal to summon Fractal, because Fractal sort of the Tri-Brigade you care about the least, right? So I'm going to link these two off for Ferrojet. Ferrojet here is going to, or Shreg is an enemy Fractal, so that's why I don't want to use the Albion Branded Sword combo yet, because I want to have 4 banished. And then I also don't want to draw Fractal if I can avoid it. So, okay, there we go. We add Fractal. And it is at this time where we can sort of do our shuffling and seeing what we get here. So we can activate Albion, send our Branded Sword, and this is going to go on the bottom of the deck, and we're going to draw a card. So put this on the bottom. Draw a card, draw Airborne Assault. Honestly, at this point, you don't even need it. Our opening hand was so cracked. But you could trade the Airborne Assault for like a 4th interruption, like a 4th Appaloosa thing if you wanted to. You don't need to though. Ferrojet effect, a special, and then you can just banish 2. I guess you keep the Shreg engraved because of maybe some access code lines in the future. So you can go this guy, and you can see how many cards you have in your hand. So you have this extra Sunmoo, you have this extra Mercourier for stuff to put back with Ferrojet, and you have Veiler Nib still. That hand was totally cracked. So like I said, you could use the Airborne Assault to just summon something from your deck to make a 4 material Appaloosa. I'm not going to bother. You just link all these off, and then you summon your Appaloosa to the right because you probably want to use the middle later. And so you can go, I like to make sure that Ferrojet draws after the Bear Room searches. So Bear Room search, so you'd go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, and you already have Appaloosa with 3 negates. And then you can add yourself a revolt, and shuffle it up. And then I like to put my courier to the bottom right away. But I guess I keep it in my hand. Technically, I keep it in my hand because if this card is worse than Mercurier, I can always discard this off Karis. So I put this to the bottom first, but it's very, very likely that I'm going to put the Mercurier to the bottom on the next draw, and I draw Ash because I'm good like that. So yeah, Mercurier goes to the bottom. And so you see, I've drawn 2 cards in this combo, and they've been Ash, Airborne Assault. You could have used the Airborne Assault for a 4th material. That might have been worth it here because this Airborne Assault's probably not doing much, and you already have 2 easy bricks to put back. But honestly, if your opponent has no hand traps, they probably have some board breeding cards. So yeah, there's that. But that is just one example of a super, super good hand. Now, let's go back and say our opponent had hand traps. So I remember our opening hand. Our opening hand was, like, with all due respect, extremely cracked. And so it was like this, right? This is our opening hand. Now I'm going to go back and show you sort of what would happen if they did have a hand trap. So, okay, it doesn't particularly matter what they hand trap. They don't have really much of a choice, right? They have to hand trap this because they can't hand trap this once this resolves, right? So that's a mistake that some people make. Oh, I'm just gonna hit Nerval. Ancient Warrior cards suck. I'll just hit Nerval. That would be a mistake because this is gonna get chain blocked. So don't do that. So let's just say they ash this. Okay, well you're still good. You're still good. You have Karis still. Okay, so Karis adds this, right? And you have Karis pitch Kit. And you special summon out, Karis pitch Kit, summon out this, and then you can go Kit Effect. So Kit Effect will now dump Mercurier. This is why I really, really like Mercurier, because Mercurier adds a level of strength to this deck that's just unmatched, right? Okay, so now here you're at a point where you can, like, banish 2 for Bearbrum. That works totally fine if you want to play it safe, right? I recommend playing it safe a lot of the time with this deck. You go banish 2 for Bearbrum, you get your Mercurier search, you're going to get 2 free cards, and then you're going to get, like, an easy putback, right? And with Nib Veiler, like, this is an easy, like, okay, I'm just going to play around Nibiru pretty easily here. As well, and so you can, I'm just going to skip a bunch of steps here. So we're going to add this. Where is our Albion? Our Albion's probably towards the bottom. So Albion, send Branded Sword, and then you get a free draw. So you shuffle it up, and you get a draw. Okay, so that's always nice. Albion goes on the bottom. You drew an Imperm, so, like, now you're like totally cooking. You can just go Branded Sword, add this back, link them all together, and then you can put back the Mercurier for the Revolt. So that's another option. Now, what happens? Okay, let's look at worst case scenario. Let's say this gets ashed as well, right? Okay, you got ashed again. Like, they had 2 hand traps, right? Are you just going to pass? Well, let's see. It really depends on what you draw here, but again, I don't think you actually need to, you don't need to pass, right? You could still, I mean, it depends if you want to play against, like, around a 3rd hand trap. So let's say they Veiler you here and you're in this position, right? You can still link these off for Farrajet. You can go Farrajet special this back, and of course you can make Verte in the old days, but we won't do that. You can still go something like this if you want to end on Appaloosa Revolt. It's just going to be nothing, but I think it's probably better, like, if your opponent has a 3rd hand trap, okay, they have a 3rd hand trap, right? You go something like this. Maybe you pitch 2 to summon back the Kit, and you just banish 4 in this case, right? You banish 4, and you can, like, have this extra Veiler. I like to keep Veiler because it sort of keeps stuff off the board and gives it a little mystery. You could banish 4 here, right? And then you probably want to keep this in the grave, but it doesn't matter too much. You banish 4. You link all of these into an Appaloosa for 3. You get a Shrike Search plus a Revolt, right? So you get a Shrike Search. It probably doesn't matter what you grab. You could keep the Kit, so you get Shrag, you get to add Revolt, maybe put the Kit back on the bottom, and you have a 3 material Appaloosa. Sorry, I didn't even put the Appaloosa out here. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So you have a 3 material Appaloosa, Revolt, and that's through 2 hand traps. Now, given our hand was totally cracked, I will admit that. It was totally cracked. I didn't actually rig it, right? But it was totally cracked. And so, like, your opponent just can't do anything. Whereas if you had Cat in that situation, you would be the one that would be in a bit of a pickle. I think it would be fair to say that you would be in a bit of a pickle. So I really, really like the Ancient Warriors in situations like that, where it just feels like no matter what your opponent does, they're totally screwed. So I like that. I really, really like that. And you can see the Mercurier engine, even through 2 hand traps, you're still chilling. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Let's go maybe one test hand. Maybe we probably won't draw as cracked. I'm running out of battery, so I'm gonna have to call it here, guys. But yeah, I think I am running out of battery, so I'll have to call it here. Let me know if you guys want to see some more gameplay or some more test hands with this. Do let me know in the comments below. Other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing, consider clicking the links, turn on your notifications, blah blah blah. Have a good night, and I will see you all in the next one.